We now have the pleasure of welcoming our most distinguished guest, Dr. Boniface Chizea, a renowned economist and financial analyst, for this most urgent discussion around another approval from the Senate to President Tinubu to borrow in excess of $21 billion from external sources. Good morning, Dr. Chizea. Good to have you join us on the morning show.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
It's been a while,
Yes,
but good to see you.
Yeah, thank
and
you
happy
very
Sunday
much.
to you.
Thank you. I wish you the same, yes.
All right, this is right up your alley, Dr.
Yes,
Chizea.
yes.
Finally, I mean, we've been on this since May when it went to the National Assembly, the Appropriation Act, 2025-2026, a set of borrowings that will be needed to finance the budget. And finally, more than $21 billion, among others.
I'm counting, yes.
And counting, has been approved by the National Assembly. Two things here, the import of this borrowing and the likely impact on the economy, and then the idea that everything that seems to come from the executive, particularly from the president, gets easy passage with the National Assembly. What are your thoughts on this very important?
Well, first of all, let me say congratulations to the Super Falcons.
Oh, yes.
it was a nail-biting match yesterday. So I think that Nigerians, why won't they to celebrate it?
Did you watch the match?
I watched it, yes. I caught it at halftime when we were two goals down. Yes, and I said, by Jove, this is not what we expected. And eventually,
they came back.
They came back, but it was nail-biting because there was a penalty kick towards the end that was disallowed against Nigeria. Testing and checking and so on for so long.
It would have been against Nigeria.
Yes,
but it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, so we were safe from that. So I think we bless God for that.
Yes.
A bit of good news.
Absolutely.
Refreshing, to say the least.
Yes, I think that's. I think first of all, Steve, I think that we should all be concerned about what's going on in this country. I think that we're in a hole. Now we seem to be digging the hole more. So I think as far as I'm concerned, that's what it is. And as you observe, if you look at what's happening, you go back from Buhari administration, and you now come to Tinubu's administration, and then you have to, from each administration to the other one, it gets worse, and there's no two way about that. It gets worse, and then you find that things are not being done. Even the leaders we have in place, they are so transactional about their attitude. There's nothing they do. They're not looking for something for themselves. There's nothing. So even when they take loan, as we're just going to discuss, the loan will come, and then first of all, the transparency that we'd expect and that would attend to this sort of request, important request. Because when you're talking about debt, the thing about debt is that you are going to mortgage the future generation. So you take the loan now and you spend it.
Because it's not a dash.
It's not a dash. Yes, it's going to pay back. And when it's due for payment, you're no more there.
Yes.
And you find that what's causing this is that there's this concern, for us to look good before the electorate. We want to put some projects. And so I find that the government is being assessed based on the projects they put in place. And so they put these projects and they borrow these monies. And they sometimes don't go through due process to do so. So there are lots of issues. And then, so that's why I should be much more concerned with what is happening now. I think that the loan, which the president has taken, some important personalities have said that this government, if you aggregate the loans which Tinubu administration has taken in 2 years, that is more than the loans which, since we got back to parliamentary democracy until now, it's more than that. I don't have my facts. Yes. But then if you look at the total figures, it's ballooned. And so you are concerned.
We're racing towards 200 trillion naira debt profile now.
Yes, that's exactly what it says. And then you have this very approval. You also have the foreign component, and you even have borrowing from Nigerian stock market domestically in hard currency.
Yes, different currencies.
Different currencies. So you have all that. So there's some concern. And then you talked about that in your introduction, the fact that there isn't separation of powers. That you're supposed to have the executive, legislature, and judiciary. They have roles to perform in a democracy, and that is being subsumed because the relationship is not at arm's length. It's not what should be. And so the National Assembly goes on to sing "On Your Mandate We Will Stand." And so
we are all standing on the mandate, aren't we?
so we are standing on the mandate. And so you see, what that does to you is that the facts that come, you already have trust deficit.
Yes.
And then this trust deficit is being exacerbated because of this relationship. And so the National Assembly, they have a responsibility, they have a role to play. But because of the relationship, rub my back and rub yours, what is coming to us? We have to take it with a pinch of salt. And so they bring out figures, and we have to go by the figures because we don't have access. We cannot go and collaborate those figures and on our own cross-check. So you have to take what they give you. And so it's a terrible situation, and it's not being worsened with this now push for one-party state.
You know, I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm so glad that you brought that up. Because I was just going to say, I feel like everything that you're describing is a conundrum, to be very, very honest. On one hand, you're looking at the fact that the more we borrow, the more we have to pay back.
Yes.
That's on one hand.
Yes.
You're looking at the fact that two-third majority is just maybe 2-3 seats away.
Within range.
It's within
about
range.
three.
It's very much within range.
Yes.
And we're also looking at the fact that in all of this, inflation is still high. Yesterday, we spoke about the GDP rebasing and what that means for the average Nigerian. How would this affect the average Nigerian standard of living? Seemingly, this money that is being borrowed is supposed to impact the average Nigerian standard of living. How do we balance these two things? The poverty levels, which, of course, now further emphasizes the need to borrow versus the fact that we do have problems, like you rightly said, trust deficit, the pain of these loans, our debt profile, to just wrap it up in one. How do we balance these two issues?
Well, Kachi, it says that there's no nation in this world on earth that is not indebted. They all borrow. Yeah. That's not the issue. But the point is that there has to be some more transparency from what we are seeing now. Because we're getting money, and we're telling them we're going to put money on Lagos Calabar Coastal Road.
Coastal Road.
Yes, and you tell us, and nobody has come to say this is where we are. This is the total amount of. I forget about the cost of that project. It's bloated, and also forget about the fact that on the board of that company, the president's son is supposed to be sitting on that board. Okay, I mean, all this is out there. Also, you take the point of the fact that even when that project was awarded, there was no competitive bidding. All right. So when you take all this and money is going, so there's so much opacity. There's no transparency. You don't see it, and so this money is coming, and then it's going to the hands of people. You see, when people will have to put this in context, Dangote refinery cost $20 billion
Dollars.
Now we're going to borrow 21.5. That's in addition to 700 and almost 800 billion naira locally.
Yes.
And then we're also going to get about $2 billion from the domestic stock market.
Yes.
This money is
coming in.
Yen. Euros, everything. All this money is coming in. And what more is not concerned? Because, not too long ago, we had this debt trap situation when the Kunjiwala and the Obasanjo. When that, we got relief, about 12 billion, and we paid 18
from the
Paris Club, and we paid. And so we are quickly getting into that, because once you get into that, it was asking the impact. Once you get to that, then you become unattractive to lend to. So, and when they lend to you, the coupon rate is punitive. So it's all sad, bad news as far as I'm concerned. And so,
but given the size of the budget that we are running for this year, government says that we can't run away from borrowing, and of course we've
just
have to borrow.
Yes.
But then they have also explained what they're using the money for. You've mentioned one component of it, which is the Lagos Calabar route. But then the pension aspect is also there. A few other infrastructure development. Shouldn't it be that our request or the cry of Nigeria should be that transparency should be the watchword, and then monitoring of what the money is being used for?
Yes.
Because definitely, without borrowing, infrastructure development will be a lot slower.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Yes. First of all, let me talk about the pension thing. you know me, I go all over the place.
Are you in that category?
Well, I've been retired since but I thank God, I can still get by.
Yeah.
The pension thing, we had pension reform in this country, and then it was supposed to be to make it easier for the thing to operate. So people are working, they are contributing to this pension fund, and they will have an act. And this act says, this is what you're going to use this money for. This is how you're going to spend the money.
Yeah.
These are areas of investments in which you go into. And all this is being done with a view that the pension scheme, the pension fund, will be able to live up to its responsibility. That's paying pension obligations.
Yes.
And you're not paying it. Because when we go there, the money accumulates, and the executive is in need of money, and they go and take this money.
Borrow from the pension
money.
fund. That's scary to a lot of people.
Yes. So I think that's frightening. What's the other point you made? The second point.
No, I said since we know that they have to borrow, it should be.
Okay.
I will monitor. I will monitor them and
the transparency.
Transparency, yes.
Making them accountable.
But then you see I participate in all discussions all over the place. Who is going to monitor? That's the issue, because those who are supposed to monitor hands in gloves. It's from my part, Arabia. So you submit your budget 2025.
Yes.
And the National Assembly goes and inserts 11,000 items in the budget. And bloats the budget so many trillion naira. And then there's no whimper from the executive.
So isn't this a failure of the oversight from opposition lawmakers? Because we keep saying,
but how many of them are there?
There are three. I'm saying that even before they started defecting, what were they doing?
Yes.
Because in the House of Reps, for example, the totality of the opposition is more, than that of the APC. But we do not. Practically everything that goes in there gets easy passage.
Yes. That's why we're concerned. What we call it state capture. That's the word.
But still, it's ironic you say that, because some people will still say there's nothing like that. That's not what's happening. But I think, again, we still have to bring this back to the people. How would this high government borrowing affect businesses, consumer lending as well, specifically for the private sector?
Yeah, Kachi, what's going to happen is that you borrow this money and you don't spend it where you're supposed to spend it. Then you have lots of issues. You look at infrastructure, you have issues. You look at power, you have issues. You have a road network, you have issues. You have the Lagos-Calabar Expressway, you do 35 kilometers, you start celebrating, you call everybody to celebrate, and so on and so forth. And so I think there are some of challenges. But the people say the citizens, the people get the leadership they want, and so on and so forth. But the people, we are disenfranchised. Yeah, we are not enabled. We don't have the capacity. We don't have access. And so maybe civil defense organizations might begin to speak up and so on. They can only shout, and they cannot do much.
Is there any remote possibility in any scenario where this, because I would just like to be optimistic, because this is my future, this is our future. Is there any remote possibility that this borrowing could in any way yield positive dividends for Nigerians, strengthen the naira, or maybe weaken it? Is there any remote chance where we see a positive scenario playing out from the money that is being borrowed?
There's no way to borrow this humongous amount of money and it will not impact. It will impact. But what I'm talking about is the fact that there are obligations which they are living, and that the values we're going to get might not be anywhere near what it should be. And so somebody goes and refurbishes the National Conference Center and spends 39 billion naira to refurbish it. And somebody goes there and releases a video and says that is not up to 5 billion naira. That's what we're saying. There's no way. If you go to, I'm sure if you went to the National Conference Center today, you've been there, I'm sure that it will look good, than what it was before. But what we're saying is, with this expenditure, the amount of money you're putting there, and the value you are getting, what's the relationship? And that's a concern.
The government says that the economy has stabilized, that what is left is for the generality of the citizens to feel the impact of the reforms. And then if you also now look at the half-year report of the performance of, in terms of revenue, you see that, an appreciable progress has been made. particularly, from the position of tax, it grew from almost 10 trillion as at this time last year, first half of the year, now to more than 14 trillion, which is about 43% increase. And government spokespersons and government machinery, say that when you look at indicators like that, it means that progress is being recorded, and that if you borrow against such good outlook, it means that the country first can withstand the borrowings, and then the possibility of paying back is a lot easier. Do you agree with all these submissions?
Steve, let me say.
And do you acknowledge the progress?
Yes. I think that let's say we've beaten the bullets, and then we thank God there's some stability. There's no two about it. Even the IMF did say so. There's some stability, but stability at what rate? So we have the naira today is been stable at about 1.5 to 1.6. So and it was 460 naira.
The stability means that's where we will hang.
But then there's something to be said for that.
Okay.
Because if you're a business person, it's going to be impossible for you to do business in an environment that's unstable.
Yes.
So if, for instance...
MPR is still at 27%?
No, yes, 27.5%.
5.
Yes. So interest rate is very high. So we have stability. And we did certain things, so we moved subsidy, we now got more naira. And you talk about the tax, and they talk about the money accruing liquidity naira from the tax.
Nominally.
Then also, I have some issues here, because then we've been undergoing reforms. And reforms are not going to be implemented until next year, early next year. So what has changed? Again, you see, I talk about trust deficit. And I see these figures. Okay, so naira has accumulated. What is the real value of the naira? Now inflation was at something percent. That now they rebased and they say 24. They play games with figures. But now, how has that impacted you and I?
Exactly.
Even with the rebasing, we're still number 4.
Now, Steve, one other important point is that now we did all this, and we accumulated all this naira. What did you do with it? What did we do? We put it in FAC. I look at the papers, and I think they say whatever trillion naira they got in this year, and they shared it. And they shared this money. Now, first of all, the value of the money is impacted because the prices have gone through the roof. So the money, what you could have spent 10 naira to get before, now you spend probably
50.
Maybe. That's nothing everywhere. So the value of your naira. And this money, what we could have done for us to benefit from it, this money should have been warehoused. And then we'll go back to the National Assembly with a supplementary budget. And then try and spend this money where it will have value.
Wisely.
And so you find that we still, I don't want to go to insecurities and so on and so on. We still have issues with power stability. I live where I'm supposed to be paying, Lekki Phase 1, I'm supposed to be paying through the roof. Today it's there, tomorrow is Band A. Today it's there, tomorrow is not there, and so on and so on.
But how does this on a sly, because we're speaking about this, as Nigerians,
and that's why we're concerned.
And we're concerned,
yes.
And we probably have government officials right now watching the show and looking at us and wondering, and probably thinking about it as well. On who does the honest lie to ensure this level of accountability, to ensure this level of transparency, so we can deal with the root cause of the problem? Is it you talked about separation of powers, checkmating each other, but not imposing on each other. Who does the honest lie?
The honest lies on the executive. If you have somebody who's at the top, because then if you talk about state capture, who is perpetrating state capture? Who has interest in that? Who has interest in making sure that the election results are manipulated? Who has interest in saying that judiciary should, and then that's the National Assembly legislature, that they're just compliant, they're just there rubber stamp and so on. Who has interest? So what we need to do is we need to hire somebody that is going to be a lot more, it's going to be a bit more accountable.
You say hire. I mean, do we hire?
Yes. Because
when you elect people,
do we hire?
Do
we hire our leaders?
That's the problem. They go in there, they don't know that they're accountable to us.
Yeah.
They're accountable. We hired them. And if the election results would count, we just went through Lagos State election. I was on radio with Ruben Abachi, and I was
the local government
elections. And I said nobody came out. And they got us to stay indoors, from morning till, 3 o'clock.
3 p.m.
Yes, I had too many other things to do. And then there's nothing near the place. And at the end of the day, the results were declared as expected. And so it's a dilemma. And so what you are asking me, what do we need to do? And I've said, I've been on record to say, we have to go and reinvent INEC. That's not, the patriots have come and so on. All we have to do is to make INEC truly independent. That must be the first step. People talk about restructuring the federation. Let the votes count. That's the first thing. And once the votes count, and you know that if you go into power and people don't like you, they will not vote for you. And that you'll be sacked. Now you borrow some sense. But if you know that whatever you want to do, you can do. Look at what's happening. Look at I like digressing. Look at what's happening at River State. Look at what we're doing. Wike has no business in River State.
It's from Rivers?
No. It's from Rivers. He's done his term as governor. And he should have any role to play anymore. Now, he implants somebody there, and then he's controlling the person. And everybody's involved in this scheme. Everybody's involved. So the president is there, he calls Fubara, he calls Wike to settle the issues.
Let me, Dr. Chizea, let me go
These
back
are
to...
issues.
Yeah.
These are significant issues. I think you just hit the issue. And
Let me go back to the main issue.
Yes,
and let me ask a two-pronged question. One will be that, the first will be that if the size of our budget were to be a lot leaner, maybe the scramble for perks, which ultimately leads to scramble for more borrowings, will reduce because recurrent expenditure, eats up a lot of what we borrow. And then the second part will be that many of these instruments that governments, are taking, facilities, etc. Those who are close to government, that are arranging and packaging all these bonds and stuff, tend to benefit. So for every dollar that we borrow, a certain amount of cents go to those who are packaging them. If those things were, I don't know if in finance and economy world, that is the standard. If those incentives are either not there at all or are very minimal, maybe the rush at every given time for bonds, for loans, for etc. will be reduced. Because many people are just eating from the fact that we are mortgaging, apparently, our future.
But you've talked once or twice about the size of the budget. Again, I keep on bringing it to the fact that when you look at it in real terms, if you look at the fact that you have an inflation rate that was 31%, we'll try to, what's the word now, to deodorize. And so we rebase the economy. And then we'll say it's 20%.
No, we won't recalculate the
GDP.
We rebase the GDP, but we recalculated the way we measured the inflation.
Yes.
And then it came down from 34 to about
the way
20.
we calculate who is not at work and who is not at work. And so, I think it's about 22%. Now it was 24, 22%. And so that even the nominal value of this the budget, you have to subject it to close scrutiny. Now you talked about the recurrent expenditure.
Yeah.
When the Konjiwala was there, that fight was on. You can't have the budget when the relationship between the capital and we have to monitor it, yes, because if recurrent keeps on dominating, then it's going to dictate sort of progress you are going to make.
I think our position then was that if recurrent was bigger than between 33 and 40%, you'll be in trouble.
Yes, but it trumps it's the whole thing now. I think current is in excess of 50%.
That's right.
And yet there are people who are not yet, still not being paid their salaries. And so there are challenges everywhere.
It's sad. Well, Dr. Boniface Chizea, we can finish the discussions in one day, but we want to thank you for the thoughts that you have expressed today and for the insight that you have brought into the discussion.
Highlighting the issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you,
Kachi.